We're back. UFC 301. I am not going to lie. This is probably the most understacked pay-per-view of the year for sure. Coming off, UFC 300. That thing was super stacked. So obviously this one is not so stacked. They could have at least, thrown a couple more bangers for sure. But hey, the hardcores like me and probably everyone watching the show are still going to tune in. So it is what it is, and if we can make money on this card, that's the most important thing, right? So in the main event, you got your boy Alexander Pantoja taking on Steve Urseg. Not gonna lie, I don't think Steve Urseg is very deserving of a title shot. But what are they gonna do? Give Brandon Moreno, another fight? Makes no sense right now. But Alex Perez looked good. If you guys seen our last picks, we were on fire last week. We hit some big picks, so let's keep that momentum going into this week. And we took some nice dogs too. And if you guys need a place to bet, BetUS, promo code Iceman, 125% deposit bonus on your first initial 3 deposits. So Brandon Moreno, he did lose that split decision to Pantoja. I assume he's going to be getting a rematch sometime soon, but I know he lost to Royval, but Royval lost to Pantoja his last fight, so I don't know if they can do that one again, right? Pantoja's on a roll, though. He's got 5 fights in a row. He's been looking good, and, Steve Urseg here, I know he's a good striker. He's probably going to have the striking edge against Pantoja. Pantoja likes to just throw, these fast hooks. He can sort of get away with it because he is very fast. But he doesn't really like to throw, straight down the middle like Steve Urseg. Steve Urseg is very, pinpoint accuracy, down the middle, straight shots. Has a great left hook. Have you seen him, land against Matt Schnell? But Pantoja just throws these fast hooks. And, I think with age, that speed's going to start to go away, and he's going to start having some troubles with the guys going down the middle on him. But it's been working so far, and if it goes to the ground, you got to give the edge to Alexander Pantoja, and it's in Brazil, jiu-jitsu. I'm going with Pantoja on this one. To be honest, though, I'll be real with you. The best flyweight in the world is currently not in the UFC. They need to do whatever they can. They got to pull out the bag, pull out that checkbook, Uncle Dana, and give Mighty Mouse a contract or something. I don't know what it is with ONE FC. If his contract's up soon or whatever, but they need to get that guy back because I just feel like Pantoja doesn't feel like championship material to me compared to Mighty Mouse when he was champ, Cejudo, guys like that, man. I hope maybe Cejudo, if he can make 125, I think that's a great matchup, man. I think he could be the champ at 125. I really do. I don't think at 135. But, man, he's got to cut that weight, bro. Next up in the co-main, we got Jose Aldo taking on Jonathan Martinez. Jose Aldo, this guy's been boxing, kickboxing. Hopefully he's been making that money in Chuto, Brazil. But I don't know if he's making that UFC money, and maybe that's why he's back. I don't know. Maybe this guy just loves the fight. He's the real deal. Legend in the game, And, Jonathan Martinez is on a roll, don't get me wrong. But this is a tough task for Jonathan Martinez. Going to Brazil, I know he's coming off a win over Said Nurmagomedov and Adrian Yanez, but, this is a whole nother ball game going in there with a guy like Jose Aldo. And to be honest, I think, Jonathan Martinez is a good striker himself, got them great leg kicks, but I don't think you're going to be outstriking Jose Aldo. And he's hard to grapple against, Merab did it, but that's Merab. And Merab, had a hard time getting Jose Aldo down, and I don't think Jonathan Martinez is looking to grapple. I think he's looking to strike, and I just think Jose Aldo's a better striker out of the two. Now, that being said, he is 37 years old. Father Time is undefeated, but I think at 37, in Brazil, I think against Jonathan Martinez, even odds, I think I'm going to go with Jose Aldo on that one. And if he loses to Jonathan Martinez, you got to hang it up, bro, because it's time's up. Up next, Vitor Petrino taking on Anthony Lionheart Smith. So Lionheart, made a horrible decision taking that Khalil Roundtree fight on short notice. Before that, he beat Ryan Spann, and but he lost to Walker and Ankalaev. So he's got one win in his last 3 fights, I believe. And, taking on undefeated Brazilian Vitor Petrino, he's coming off a great win over Tyson Pedro. Not the most, I expected him to go in there and finish Pedro. He did not. Pedro is a tough dude, though. But I think he gets it done against Anthony Smith. So I think, he's a huge underdog, too. Plus 375. Jeez. That's huge, man. I think you got to go with Vitor Petrino on that one. He's 26 years old. Anthony Smith seems to be doing more commentating than fighting these days, so I got to go with Petrino on that one. And I think he actually might even get to finish. But Anthony Smith, he's super tough. But that chin's got to go soon, man. He's taking some big shots. Up next, Michel Pereira. This guy's been looking phenomenal lately at 185. That 170 cut was just too much for him, it seemed. And 185, he really seems to found a home, man. He's on a 7-fight win streak. The Andre Petroski fight he looked phenomenal. But it wasn't, Petroski's been on a losing streak. And Michel Oleksiy, the Polish, he looked phenomenal. Submitted him in the first round. He's coming off 2 first-round finishes, man. He looks really, really good at 185. Seems to really coming into his own here. And, taking on Ihor, the Ukrainian from Kyiv. He's coming off a win, but he's got two losses in his last 3 fights. One of those wins was to Shogun back in 2023, who's like 70 years old now. I just think Michel Pereira is going to eat this guy alive. Michel Pereira all day on this one, and you could see by the odds, minus 450 in Brazil. Good luck, Pantoja. He's going to get smoked. Finish probably in the first or second. Up next, Paul Craig, the Bear Jew. He's one that might have the craziest guard in MMA, man. Paul Craig's got wins over guys that he shouldn't have been winning over. And that was at 205. Beat Jamal Hill, beat Krylov, beat Magomed Ankalaev with like 1 second left. Crazy, crazy guard. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. But I'll tell you who else's jiu-jitsu is even maybe better is Caio Borralho. Some people say Caio Borralho, Caio Borralho, whatever. The guy's for real. And he's been beating really good guys. Guys like Armen Petrosian, Mahmoud Muradov, Abis, Magomedov, the Russians, killers. And I think he's going to destroy Paul Craig everywhere. He's got that crazy karate stance, way better on the feet than Paul Craig. So Paul Craig's already going to have trouble there. And if Paul Craig goes to the ground, Borralho's good on the ground, man. But obviously, that being said, Paul Craig's only chance to win, I think, at this fight is to catch a submission off his back. And so if you're Borralho, sprawl and brawl and just outstrike Paul Craig and look to knock him out, because his only chance of victory is really, off his back, getting a submission or something like that. But I don't think he's going to be submitting Borralho in Brazil. I just think he's going to get smoked. And, time's up for the Bear Jew, man. Coming off a loss to Brendan Allen himself, I think Borralho is going to smoke him. That's what I think. Up next, Jack Shore taking on Joe Anderson and Brito. This one is interesting. Jack Shore's got a great record. 17 wins, 1 loss. That's super impressive, man. And, I know he lost to Ricky Simone, who is a savage in his own right. He's a good fighter. And, Joe Anderson Brito's been looking really good, man. He's got some great finishes. Ninja choked Jonathan Pierce, 4-fight win streak. Knocked out Andre Fili in the first round. This is going to be really tight. I'm sort of leaning towards Brito, but I think this fight is going to go to decision. If it doesn't, I would say Brito probably gets the submission victory, because Jack Shore, he's a good striker, but, clear hole in his game is the submission game. And Brito's good at one thing. It's submission. So these Brazilians got really good jiu-jitsu. So Jack Short, game plan simple, sprawl and brawl. And I think that's going to be a close one. I'd take the over on that one. Next up, Elvis Brennen taking on Debec Orobal. This Debec guy, this guy is a very good grappler. Very strong grappler, fighting out of Kyrgyzstan. His last fight with Uroš Medic, he got cracked in the first round. I went back and watched that fight. He got cracked hard, and looked like he was going to get knocked out. He turned that right into a grappling exchange. If you guys look here, takedown average 11.41. That's very high. So, clearly this guy can grapple. And Elvis Brennen is a very good fighter himself. He's on a good win streak himself. 5 wins in a row, even beating Guram Kutateladze, which is very impressive. Guram Kutateladze, he beat Mateusz Gamrot. I thought Gamrot won the fight. It was a split decision, but it was close. He beat Gamrot, and he lost a split decision to Damir Usmagulov. But he's been fighting really good guys as Guram, and Elvis Brennen finished Guram Kutateladze, who is also Hamzat's training partner. Crazy. Debec, I think, just going to out-grapple him, though. Clearly a big favorite. Brennen, though, if he can knock out Guram, you can knock out Debec, because Debec's chin, not the greatest, as you've seen against Uroš Medic. And just throwing this out there, Debec has only one loss. He's 12-1. His only loss is to a guy named Khalid Sutiev, a Russian dude who's undefeated, and they really need to get this guy in the UFC. He's 13-0. He's the real deal. I would like to see that guy in the UFC down the road. He's currently fighting in ACA. The guy's the real deal, though. So if they can get that boy in the UFC, Khalid Sutiev, that's going to be a great addition. I just think, the UFC is getting a little flooded with Russians, but hey, these guys are for real, man. Clearly. But yeah, my pick is Debec. By decision, I think he should be able to get it done. Or by submission. He does have a good submission game. But, these Brazilians are hard to tap. Their jiu-jitsu is so good. William Gomez, if I'm pronouncing that right, the Frenchman, 6 foot tall, fighting the 5'7" Brazilian. The height advantage is for real in this one. And he's a slight underdog, and I'm going to go with the slight underdog on this one. I'm going to go with the Frenchman taking on, the Lord Assassin and Gene Silva. I know he's on a great win streak, 9 wins in a row, but he just hasn't fought the same level of competition as William. He's only had one fight in the UFC, one fight on the Contender Series, so it's hard to really gauge how good he is, and he's had some finishes. But this is going to be tough for him, man, because he is a lot shorter than William. And if, William uses that reach, I think he should be able to get that one done. So I'm leaning towards, the underdog on this one. But hey, it's in Brazil, and these Brazilians don't play around in Brazil. Next up, Drakkar Klose taking on Joaquim Silva. I'll go with Drakkar Klose on that one. Mauricio Ruffy, I think he takes out Jamie Malarkey. And the last one I'm going to touch on is Ishmael Bonfim. This guy is going to put on a show in Brazil. Unfortunately, I don't know why they got him on the early prelims, because that guy's exciting, bro. Win or lose, he's super exciting. And, taking on Vince Pichel at age 41, I think I'm going to go with the 28-year-old, as will everyone, including the odds makers, minus 525. Should be an easy victory for Bonfim, and I think he finishes Vince Pichel on that one. And, those are your picks out